Yat ya Audrey Narindrankura yinshia. Tishidane ishle. Not also bushes chin. Kia ani dashi chedo. Not also dashinale. Today, I am going to demonstrate how to make what we call a breakfast mix, which is the soil that we use to start our seedlings in. And there are certain seedlings that will work really well with this mix, which is like lettuce seeds, tomatoes, flowers, which don't mind being transplanted or touched or moved. And then next we'll make the lunch mix, which is a mix that we transplant into once our seedlings grow out their true leaves. Okay, so we're going to start out with 50% 1/8 inch cinder soil. It's black cinder soil, and you could either use peat moss or coconut coir. We found that the peat moss is not as sustainable as the coconut coir, and price-wise, I think the peat moss is a little less expensive. So we're going to start off with 50% cinder soil. So I'm just going to use this container here. And we use the cinder soil for aeration for our seedlings. And then the peat moss or the coconut coir is for moisture retention. Just do that. And then you just mix well. And you can add water to this if it's a little too dry. But once we put our seedlings in, we'll water our containers. So this is about the consistency you want. So you just want a very well mixed soil. And then we use these tins. They have little holes at the bottom for water. And you just want to loosely pack them. And I like to kind of give it a little, I don't pack it down too much, but I do kind of make it like a little muffin. So today we'll be seeding tomatoes and some flowers. So here in Pinon, Hard Rock area, our last, typically our last freeze date is May 28th, but in the past it's been the middle of June. So your frost dates. So it's best to know your frost dates. Your first frost date and your last frost date. So it would be the first of the year. So last year it was around May 28th. So we're going to go with that. But like I said, sometimes it goes into June. And then our last frost date, last year it was in September. So, but typically it's the middle of October. So so it's best to find out what your frost dates are, your first and last frost dates, because that's your growing season. So that's between those 2 dates. So when you buy a packet of seeds, it'll tell you how long it takes to germinate and how long it takes to produce. Like for example, this is a slow bolt cilantro, and on here, you know, it'll tell you that it takes 45 days to harvest and to plant them 4 inches apart. And we'll go ahead and start some of these and see how that goes. Nice time lapse. It's on. It's on. So next we're going to put little rows in. We're going to be planting tomatoes. Tomatoes, we like to start them 8 weeks before our first frost, which in this area is May 28th. So we're right in the window, and I think we're going to be okay. So once we plant, the seeds are really tiny, so we don't really need to plant them that deep. Okay, so we're getting ready to seed our tomatoes. So today we'll be seeding tomatoes, which I'll be seeding, it's a type of Roma tomatoes that grow really well out here, and it's a determinate variety. So tomatoes come in 2 varieties. So one is called determinate and another one is called indeterminate. So when you're looking at the packet, it'll your seed packet will tell you which variety it is. So determinate variety means that it will only grow to a certain level and it won't get any bigger. So it's like a bush, more of a bush. And the indeterminate will grow, I've seen it grow as high as like 12 feet tall. So this one's been growing out in Tuba City, and it does really well out here. So I collected these seeds and I dried them, and so we'll go ahead and seed them. So I just want to put them in as maybe an eighth of an inch apart. So we're going to have lots of tomatoes. If they get stuck together, you can use like a toothpick to move them around to where they're not touching. So these tomatoes make really good salsa, or you can make spaghetti sauce with it, and they actually keep very well. And tomatoes, when you harvest your tomatoes, just leave them on the counter. They don't need to be refrigerated. So just leave them on the counter and they well. Okay, so I'm just going to get a little bit more soil and just gently cover them. And today we're going to reuse these little mushroom containers and go ahead and water into the container. And we'll leave it on the windowsill, and they'll start sprouting in about a week. And then once they grow out their true leaves is when you transplant them into what we call 6-packs, which is containers with 6 cells. Or you can transplant them into a bigger container if you don't have the 6-cell container. Or you could kind of like this, or you can use a yogurt container. Just put holes at the bottom and transplant into that. And I'm out of popsicle sticks, so I'm going to improvise. And since I have some of these screwers and post-it notes and tape, I will make little labels so you don't forget to label your container. What information you want on it is the name, the variety of what you just planted, the day that you planted them. And then a lot of times I usually put where the seed is coming from. Like this is seeds of change. That way, if nothing grows, then I know that this is maybe a bad seed packet, and I won't try to waste my time trying to plant seed more of this, and I'll just compost this. Okay, out of popsicle sticks, so I'm improvising. So you don't forget to write the variety of whatever you're planting, which is today I seeded Roma tomatoes with today's date. And then okay, so now we're going to create our lunch mix, what we call lunch mix. Breakfast mix, we start our seedlings in, and then we transplant them into a lunch mix, which is 1/3 of your breakfast mix. Remember, that one is half peat moss or coconut coir with the cinder soil. So you do one of those. And then your local sandy soil. 1/3 of your sandy soil. We want our transplants to get used to our local soil. And 1/3 potting soil. Today we're using Happy Frog. It's got mycorrhizae and humic acid, so it's loaded with some good stuff. So with this mix, you can seed directly into bigger pots, or containers. You can start your melons in these, because melons and cucumbers don't like to be handled too much. So these, once they start growing, you can transplant them directly into the soil from here. And this.
Let me zoom in.
Yeah. And this is the finished product. So today we'll be reusing some of the pots that we've used previously to plant our melons. So I'll just go ahead and put our soil in this. And then we can put our melon seeds into this. So the melon seeds, we just want to, we don't want to plant them that deep. Typically when we're planting them in the field, we're planting them a little bit deeper. But these, since we're watering them from the start, you don't need to plant them that deep. We're going to be planting yellow watermelon, and these seeds are coming from the Pinon farms out of Tiba City, and they're like a Hopi variety, and I usually just start them dry. I know my grandma used to soak them and then seed them, but with these I'm just going to pop them in. So we're going to get 3 plants in this. And then once these grow out and they get their true leaf, they'll be ready to be transplanted into your field or your garden. And these produce some of the most delicious watermelon. Don't forget to put your label on it. Yellow watermelon with today's date, and indicate where the seeds are coming from. Don't forget to put your label on it. Yellow watermelon with today's date, and indicate where the seeds are coming from.
This presentation was brought to you by Pinon Unified School District Number 4. We would like to thank our presenter, Audrey Narindrankura, who is Dine and a Master Gardener. Audrey was recently featured on Native American Calling Small Scale Native Gardens. Thank you for your participation. We hope that you were inspired to mix your own soils for your transplants and your seedlings. And we look forward to this wonderful planting season that has come upon us. Thank you again for watching. If you have any additional questions, please contact us. Thank you and have a wonderful day.